You're listening to Mac20 Questions. Your host is David Allen. It's time for some Mac20 Questions news.
Before we move on with the podcast, let's hear from the show sponsor, GoToMeeting. These days, with the cost of travel anywhere being so high, and with things like swine flu attacking you in the confined spaces of trains, planes and hotel lobbies, why not hold your meetings online with GoToMeeting? You can share your screen to demonstrate something you're working on, such as a keynote presentation or a slideshow. In fact, whatever you have on the screen. And it even works with Windows users. You can host meetings from a Mac or a PC, and you can choose between voice over IP or conferencing included in the GoToMeeting service, so you can talk via your computer or your phone. It's true, isn't it? Business travel, it's a profitability killer, so do more and travel less with GoToMeeting. For one low monthly fee, you can hold as many meetings as you like. Start meeting online today with this free 30-day trial. Visit gotomeeting.com/techpodcasts. So that's gotomeeting.com/techpodcasts. Mac20 Question Podcast number 97. My Mac Week. My wife wants a computer to do stuff in school. She's a teacher. And for a long time she's been drooling over the MacBook Air, mainly because of its light in weight. Many people have told me, though, that having owned one, they think it's underpowered and kind of short on ports and things. Now, I recommended to her the MacBook Pro, but she's not that keen because it's over 2 kilograms compared to the iPad, which is less than half of that. So the iPad comes into it, but it's also low powered and it's got fewer ports. But it has advantage over the Air by being lighter and cheaper to buy. Another good point for the iPad is that when you switch it on, it's ready instantly to do some work. And that's a big benefit in a classroom when you've got a classroom full of rats. Well, we took a trip into Girona the other day to check out the iPad, and they had no iPads in there for sale. They did have some to view, but couldn't buy one. I did enjoy playing with the photo app, and I thought that Safari on the iPad was pretty good too. Much better than on the iPhone. Now, if they'd have had an iPad in the shop, I'm pretty sure that we would have gone home with one. Despite me having one or two reservations with how it would fit in with what she wants to do computing-wise. I'm thinking that perhaps she needs something a little bit more powerful. She wants to do some movie editing and maybe put some presentations together. You know, the sort of thing that teachers like to do. And if she got an iPad, I think it's going to be the case that I would probably get kicked off my own computer, and it's already started to happen, where she wants to get on there and use ScreenFlow to do some work with putting a movie together, or she wants to get on there and use Keynote. I don't mind. I mean, I would actually give her my MacBook Pro, but the thing is that it's got the English keyboard, and she kind of does need to have the keyboard with a Spanish accent on it, so we'll have to think about that. I suppose I should be grateful, though, that I'm getting her away from her Windows machine, which is driving her nuts at the moment. One of the things that we wanted to have a look at was how the Bluetooth keyboard worked with the iPad. But the guy in the shop, he tried his best, couldn't get the iPad to work with the Bluetooth keyboard that he had there. It's a bit strange, I suppose, but it could have been a case of the fact that there was maybe other Bluetooth things in the shop there that was maybe confusing the signals. Have you had difficulty or problems getting a Bluetooth keyboard to pair up with your iPad? Talking of keyboard things, she imagines that she'd like to use the iPad on the sofa and use the Bluetooth keypad there. Now I suppose that the iPad could be propped up on the table in front of her and then the keyboard on her lap. But I kind of wonder if maybe the iPad would then be too far away for her to be able to see exactly what she's supposed to be doing or reading on the screen. Now, I can't imagine how you'd might have the keyboard and the iPad together on the lap unless you had some sort of specialised folder, and even then I suppose it could be a little bit awkward. Maybe she would be better off with a MacBook Pro. Have to see how this conundrum runs, and the best solution I think would be for her to have an iMac on her desk, maybe a Mac Mini, and get an iPad to go with it for taking into school and doing the mobile computing. Now, we don't expect the funds to run to that, though, seeing as all public service workers here in Spain have had a pay cut of 5%. This week I've been creating video for my Wizard Gold business, extolling the delights of trading on Betfair. I do have one video on YouTube which is about trading on Betfair, and it's been watched about 37,000 times so far. Now, if I wanted to be able to get those sort of numbers on my videos, then I'd probably have to take some lessons from the talented iJustine. I'd have to learn to dance in the Apple stores, do some spoofs of some silly songs, and wear silly wigs, then post the resulting videos. I reckon I could even manage to do a little bit of dad dancing, no problem. As you see, I'm not averse to looking a bit silly if it'll bring in a bit of cash for me. Now, the other news here at Mac20 Questions headquarters is that I've reverted to use the telephone line to bring in the internet service. It is a slower 1 megabyte, but it's more reliable than the crappy WiMAX I was using, which was worth a try, but now at least I can expect to have Skype working better for me. I have kind of given up on Nambu again. It kept crashing on me, and I've had to go back to TweetDeck. I really wish that Nambu could bring out an app that was stable and didn't keep falling over, because otherwise I quite like it. Today I posted a new podcast on Video 20 Questions with an interview of the horror movie director Travis Legg. Now at the moment he's shooting a movie called Raymond Did It, and as I said, he's shooting it right this very minute. He's out there with the cameras. If you're into horror movies and you'd like to support Travis, then he's still taking donations to help fund the movie. Do a Google search for him and see what you can do to help him out. Just before I was about to interview Travis, I saw a tweet from him to say that he was covered in blood. I thought, what's going on here then? But no worries, because it was just some testing he was doing of some special effects for the slasher movie. I think I'll go and have a slash now. I feel better for that. Okay then, I suppose I better mention the WWDC. The iPhone 4 looks great, and I'll be drooling over one for quite some time to come. I like that it's got the A4 processor in it, same as the iPad, because the iPad is lovely and pretty quick, as I saw when I was trying it out in the shop. It's nice that there is a front-facing camera on there now, and it'll be great that we have the FaceTime thing, although we will have to get dressed to make calls. I don't think the camera's there to be able to provide a better service for the sexters. Sexters? Well, you know, these young ones that like to take pictures of their bits and send them to their friends, and their friends distribute the images to everyone they know and pass them on to their friends. Talk about sexually transmitted diseases. Here we have technically transmitted sex bits going viral. Although I suspect some pervs will be still doing this sort of sexting anyway. Nice shape too. Yes, I'm talking about the iPhone again, the iPhone 4. Apparently the screen resolution is one of the highlights of the new iPhone, and when I see one in action I'll be able to comment on it, but it did look quite good in the keynote. iOS 4, the iPhone operating system, looks good too, and I will be admiring that from afar, as most of its benefits are not available to the 3G iPhone that I have. Never mind. I wonder if the iMovie for the iPhone will be available for the iPad. If Stephen didn't say so, but I expect it'll be the case. That was one of the questions that my missus had about the iPad and the ability to edit video. I was asked about that and other things on the way to the store, and I was amused to hear the same questions being asked of the guy in the shop. She mustn't have believed exactly what I was telling her. He gave the same answers as I did, though, still. Anyway, here's a weird one. The iPad is such a good idea for the educational market, but there's no educational discount. What gives? Another plus point there for the MacBook Pro, because you do get an educational discount and you get more bang for the Eurobuck. So, tell me, given the circumstances what we have here, what would you do? Would you get the iPad? Would you get a MacBook Pro? Or would you go for the Air? Or maybe you'd just like to tell me whether you'd be ordering the iPhone 4 and getting in line for it when it's available on June the 24th. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And if you'd like to be featured on the show yourself, why don't you send me an email to mac20q@gmail.com. You can come on the show and talk to us all about how you use your computer, because I'm interested to find out anyway. I'm sure that the rest of the listeners would be interested too. Get in touch with me and let's get something arranged.
Thanks for taking time to listen to Mac20 Questions. To make sure that you don't miss the next episode, you can go and subscribe in iTunes.